Hello and welcome to the basics of crafting for Final Fantasy XIV. In this video we will be breaking down how to read the crafting UI, gear stats, and the basics of early game abilities. We are first going to take a look at the crafting UI. The UI can be broken up into 4 different sections: the progress bar, durability, the quality bar, and the collectability and high quality chance percentage. The progress bar is the top bar and needs to reach the number shown on the side in order for the craft to complete. In other words, you need to fill up the progress bar. If it isn't completed, then the craft will fail. Crafts are failed by not reaching the end of the progress bar by the time the durability reaches 0. This is a good time to take a look at where the durability bar is and what it does. The durability bar shows how many moves or abilities you have left before your craft either needs to be completed or will fail. When the durability reaches 0 and the move before didn't complete the progress bar, the craft will fail. The ability Master's Mend will give back 30 durability, but we will get into that ability later on in the video. The quality bar is filled by using touch abilities. This bar will either show how likely your standard craft will become high quality, or how collectible the item is depending on the type of item being crafted. Thus, the quality bar ties directly into the percentage or collectability just below it, as when the bar reaches full, the collectability or the chance of high quality is maxed or 100%. Filling both the progress bar and the quality bar will deplete your durability, as most early game abilities such as touch and synthesis will take 10 of your durability in order to fill or progress the progress bar and quality bar, depending on the ability used. There is one more part of the UI I would like to draw attention to, and this is the calculations button. This can be used to see how much progress a synthesis ability will give or how much the touch ability will fill the quality bar. This allows for you to see how much durability you will need for completing the craft without having to guess or complete a craft by mistake because it was believed to take more synthesis than it actually did, which I used to do all the time before this calculation was added. Now let's move on to gear. Gear. Oh boy, gear. This is different from other MMOs, massively multiplayer online games, given the fact the crafters in this game are their own class or job. Thus, when on a crafter or gatherer, you have your own set of stats to be mindful of, as these will affect your ability to craft, or gather if you're on a gathering class. There are 3 stats to be aware of while crafting: craftsmanship, control, and CP, or crafter points. Early game, and this doesn't hold true for the rest of the time that you are crafting, as my max level ones actually have CP on every piece. Early game in particular, CP can only be found on your earring, necklace, wristband, and rings, as well as materia. It is an important modifier in the fact the more CP or crafter points you have, the more likely you are to be able to use abilities needed to get high quality items, or the highest possible collectible craft. This being said, you also need to be aware of craftsmanship and control, as those directly affect your crafting process. CP can also be found on other gear pieces when you are later game. As I said, my level 80, who's wearing level 71 gear, has CP on all of his gear. Craftsmanship affects the progress of your craft. This means how much your synthesis abilities will give towards the progress and completion of the craft. This stat can be found on all of your gear except for jewelry during the early game. Later game, it is also on jewelry. The final stat that we have is control, which affects the progress of your quality or collectability bar. This means the better your gear, the more each touch ability gives to the progress of your quality bar. This stat is found on the same gear as craftsmanship is, which means early game only your actual gear set, and later game it'll also be on your jewelry. This also includes your main hand and offhand. We will get into high quality gear later on, but a little tidbit to be aware of is high quality gear generally has better stats than the standard quality counterparts, meaning if you have a shirt of, say, level 5 that is standard quality and you have a shirt that is high quality that is identical to that one, it'll have better stats on the high quality than it will have on the standard quality. Finally, we're going to go into a few of the early game abilities. In this section, I will break down the abilities used early game as these are the basics, and slowly ease you into the more complex end of crafting. First up is the very first ability you are given at level 1, Basic Synthesis. This will progress your progress bar to complete your craft. It ups it by a very small amount in the beginning and takes 10 durability per use. The more gear you get, the higher your craftsmanship will get and the better this ability will become. The next ability is Basic Touch. This is the first touch ability you get that affects the progress of your quality bar. It will take 10 durability, the same as your Basic Synthesis took. This ability has the added cost of 18 CP. So you will need to watch both your CP and durability bars while working with this ability. This ability is learned at level 5. Last but not least for your abilities that take durability for early game is Standard Touch. This ability is the same as Basic Touch but gives more progress to your quality bar than Basic Touch does. It will take 10 durability per use and 32 CP, if not used right after Basic Touch. If used after Basic Touch, it costs 18 CP. It is worthwhile to use this ability right after Basic Touch in a rotation. This ability is learned at level 18. Now on to buffs. These abilities don't take any durability to use. However, they do take CP, and each will have an effect on your craft. The first of these abilities you will learn is Master's Mint. This is useful in early crafting and many times in leveling crafting as it regains 30 durability that has been lost for the cost of 88 CP. This is only if you have used 30 durability, which means if your durability bar is full, you gain none. If you've only used 10 or 20, then you only gain back the 10 or 20, rather than the full 30. This unlocks at level 7. The next ability we will go over is Inner Quiet. For the cost of 18 CP, you can gain the Inner Quiet buff. This will slowly increase how much your touch abilities progress the quality bar. It gains a stack for each touch ability used. The higher the stack, the more progress a touch ability gives. This unlocks at level 11. Next up, we have Waste Not. This ability will half the amount of your durability lost for 4 steps. So for every touch or synthesis ability used, 5 is lost instead of 10. This ability should always be used after you have your Inner Quiet buff on before you gain any of the other buff abilities, and only if you know the craft will complete. Early on, this means not using it on crafting materials, such as cloth, as it could result in losing the item, or in not gaining as much quality as you can possibly get. This being said, it is great to use when crafting a weapon, food, armor, and more. That is more than 40 durability early game, and I'm going to stress this, early game. Later on, I use it even for materials, as only 5 is needed to get to the progress on a quality bar that is as high as I can possibly get it while completing the craft. This ability costs 56 CP and is unlocked at level 15. The last 3 abilities I will touch on during this video are Innovation, Great Strides, and Veneration. These are far from the only abilities you have access to while crafting, but are important both early and in late game crafting. First up, we have Veneration. This ability is the first of the 3 to unlock and will increase how much your synthesis does, meaning instead of the original number of durability you needed to complete the craft earlier, it is then halved, as this increases your synthesis ability by 50% for 4 charges. These charges, much like with Waste Not, will only last for 4 abilities being used. Thus, it is possible to waste all 4 of them while adding buffs to your character. This ability unlocks at level 15 and costs 18 CP. Innovation is next. This ability is much like Veneration, but for quality rather than progress. It increases the amount of your touch ability to increase the quality progress bar by 50% for 4 turns, as long as those turns are used on a touch ability, much like Veneration. It is possible to lose this buff if other abilities are used. This ability unlocks at level 26 and costs 18 CP. Last, but certainly not least, is Great Strides. Great Strides increases your touch abilities by 100% and has 3 charges. However, this ability only works once. This means after clicking on a touch ability, instead of it lasting for all 3 rounds, it will go away even if you have all 3 remaining, or 2 remaining after you press that touch button. 1 charge is consumed while setting up other buffs, however, so it is not consumed when you are setting up a buff instantaneously, such as you can use Great Strides when clicking on Innervation Waste Not without risking losing the buff. However, if you did Great Strides, Inner Quiet, Innovation, and then Waste Not, you would lose Great Strides without ever using it. The way I tend to use this ability is Inner Quiet into Great Strides into Innovation into Waste Not. The Waste Not and Innovation can be used interchangeably. Great Strides unlocks at level 21 and is an expensive ability costing 32 CP. You don't need to memorize what I just went over with the way I use Great Strides, as in a later video I am going to be going over early game rotations for crafters. I have been working on these rotations for quite some time now, and we'll have a couple macros ready for you guys in the next crafting video. I wanted to give a little bit of an update at the end of this video before wrapping it up. I am now live on Twitch Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thursdays and some Fridays I stream Final Fantasy XIV. There is a link in the description below if anyone is interested in dropping by or checking out my schedule. As another update, I am planning on starting to update weekly for videos. I will be cycling through sometimes through the 3 games I cover, which are Dragon Age, Final Fantasy XIV, and Guild Wars 2. Next week will either be another crafting video such as this, or a Dragon Age video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.